Anyone who's had to care for an older family member can relate to the stress of it all. For many Americans, that stress is multiplied if you're in the so-called sandwich generation, meaning you're also raising children at the very same time. About a quarter of American adults are in that very position. Our next guest was one of them. She's an estates and trust lawyer, and on her podcast, The Sandwich Generation Survival Guide, Candace Dellacona discusses her personal experiences and shares advice from other experts. Take a look.
It's so lonely being a caregiver. We're supposed to feel like it's an honor, but it's also, and I talk to sandwich generation member caregivers all the time. I see it on the message boards that they feel so lonely and they are starved for other people to talk about what they're going through.
Happy to say Candace Dellacona joins us now. Great to have you here. I'm sure my mom is watching and saying, I'm not that old yet, it's not there, wait. But we all know this comes for so many people. It's just a reality of life. And it was you as well, right? Talk about your experience and how it led to this podcast.
It does. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm, as you mentioned, an estate planning lawyer. So I have been in the field for about 20 years. And I found myself in the position that 70 million Americans are in, which is raising my children, trying to be a good spouse to my husband and a good friend. And my uncle got sick and he wasn't married and didn't have children. So I found myself stepping into that role.
And doing your job.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah,
trying to run my law practice is right. And I felt like it was sort of a universal issue that we were all dealing with.
So what do people need to do to prepare for that moment? Because like I said, and like you point out, for many, many, many millions of us, this is going to be the reality that we live.
There are a couple of things that I always recommend. I think the first thing as a lawyer where I go immediately is documents, right? Having the proper legal authority to help your aging loved ones, whether it's a parent or an uncle in my position. Making sure that you have a power of attorney, which is the document that nominates someone to make financial decisions.
Yep.
Healthcare directive for your healthcare decisions, but it's got to start with a conversation with your loved one.
And what is that conversation? What do you say? How do you start?
That's, the hardest thing about starting that conversation is you're facing the mortality, the aging of somebody that you love. Sometimes the person doesn't even want to talk about it themselves. So I always tell people that you should start from a place of love and caring and say the reason why you want to have the conversation is so that whatever happens in the future and the way they age is reflective of their wishes. And you want to help them achieve whatever it is that they see as their future.
Okay, so you're talking about getting the documents, both financial and medical. It does seem like a lot of work. Even though it is anchored in love, it is very stressful. So how did you deal, and what do you recommend people do that are getting ready for this moment of being in the sandwich generation?
So, candidly, I didn't deal with the stress that well in the beginning. And I wonder if most of us sort of felt that way. I think I was falling short as a parent, as a partner, as a friend. And dealing with the stress is so important because you can't help other people until you're in a good place.
No doubt about it.
Right? And that can look different for everyone. That means you could take a walk to cool off.
Yeah.
Go out and have a drink with your friends and relax. It can also mean asking other people for help so that you can do the best you can for all of them.
And that might be the toughest part, is asking for help, right?
I was thinking.
Because you're putting on a cape, showing up and being a superhero, not just for your kids, but also your parents. And you're showing up for everybody.
And you don't want to burden anybody else.
No doubt about
That's the thing. You don't want to, but you're saying you should sometimes ask
Just
for help.
ask.
It is imperative to ask for help. We cannot do it alone. And that's why I started the podcast, because I wanted to share resources and I felt like I wanted other people to know that they were not alone.
And also it helps to show how other people are doing it, because it's my understanding that most caregivers are women, true?
That's true.
And being a woman sometimes comes with a lot of guilt. And I'm wondering how you navigate the guilt of that, because you think, I'm not doing this job well, I'm not doing that job well, and I feel it's all on me.
The guilt is real. And I
Are
think
most caregivers women? Is that
most
is that true?
caregivers are women. I think the statistics are over 60% of us are caregivers in some form. And even in my circumstance, I was a long-distance caregiver to my dad. He was taken very well care of by his wife, who was amazing. But as a long-distance child, I felt a tremendous amount of guilt not being able to be there all of the time for him. And so finding ways that I could help, even from a distance, was really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Well, this conversation is helpful for a lot of people, and the podcast is helpful for even a greater number of people. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
Candace Dellacona, thank you. The Sandwich Generation Survival Guide, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts.